So the All Black team to take on South Africa has finally been announced in the first pool game to begin their 2019 Rugby World Cup campaign. Now, there's a lot of things that have been said and a lot more that will be said before kickoff, but I thought I'd take a step back and share with you some concerns that I have from an All Blacks perspective. First of all, we're trying to win our third Rugby World Cup in a row. Now, that's a pretty rare feat, not only in rugby, but in all sports. In the Football World Cup, where they've had World Cups since 1930, not one country has won three in a row. Brazil won 3 out of 4 back in the 50s and 60s, but it's never happened three in a row. I've looked at other sports. Hockey for men's have never done it. Women's hockey has, Netherlands did, apparently. Um, Cricket World Cup, they've done it, the men's, but who cares about Australia? So basically, what I'm saying, it's a rare thing. So that alone is a concern because we're dealing with something that has never happened in the history of our sport. And when you look at the teams that are competing at the World Cup, Ireland and Wales probably have their deepest and best squad going into a World Cup that they've ever had before. I mean, Ireland are number one. Wales were ranked number one just about a month ago. So, and England is still strong. And Australia, South Africa, they'll be strong. So this is really up for grabs, this World Cup. And let me tell you, World Rugby, and by World Rugby I mainly mean the Northern Hemisphere, will not want a Southern Hemisphere team, especially the All Blacks, winning three in a row. I mean, it's bad enough that 7 of the 8 World Cup winners have come from the from the Southern Hemisphere. And at the last World Cup, the 4 semi-finalists were all from the Southern Hemisphere. So they'll be doing all they can to stop that from happening. And let's face it, having 3 French referees in our pool games, very interesting. Of course, they know how much we love the French referees back in the Lions series back in 2017. And of course, our favourite ref of the moment, Jerome Garces, is reffing this game against South Africa, the same one that red-carded Scott Barrett, the same one that red-carded Sonny Bill back in 2017, although Sonny Bill's red card, that was so deserved. That was a terrible tackle. But even in the semi-final of 2015, he reffed us against South Africa, and he yellow-carded Jerome Kaino. Fortunately, we managed to win that game. So I think they're doing all that they can to stop us from winning. Now, something else that you need to win a World Cup, let's face it, you need a little bit of luck. That might be a little bit of luck in the teams that you play in your pool or in the knockout stages. Now, England, of course, they got a lot of grief for not making the knockout stage of the World Cup in 2015. And in fact, it was the first host team to fail to make it to the knockout stage, which is really bad. But if you look closer, though, they were in a pool that was really tough. They were called the Group of Death. They had Australia, who ended up making the final of the World Cup. They had Wales, who were very strong, have been strong ever since Warren Gatland took over in 2008. And they were just a bit behind the pace. And what I found out later was that prior to the World Cup, a lot of the players had been involved in an investment scheme that went horribly wrong. So a lot of them lost a lot of money. So imagine what's going through your mind. You're trying to win a World Cup, and in the back of your mind, you're like, man, I've lost so much money. This is such a tough pool. So, give England a bit of a break there. They had a bit bad luck with the pool and with things outside their control. And now, knockout stages. Sometimes you luck out because you play particular teams in the knockout stages. Now, in 2007, South Africa, they deserved to win the World Cup 2007, no doubt. However, their quarterfinal matchup was against Fiji. Fiji, they'd made the quarterfinals back in 1987, 20 years before, but other than that, they'd never made a quarterfinal. Their semi-final matchup was against Argentina, a team that prior to that World Cup had never made it to the semi-final stage of a World Cup, and yet they got to play them. So South Africa managed to avoid Australia. They managed to avoid New Zealand, Ireland, Wales, and England in the quarter and semi-finals, and of course in the final they played England, a team that they thrashed earlier in the tournament in their pool game, 36-0. So sometimes a bit of luck needs to happen. Okay, part of the luck is also who's refereeing your games. Yeah, I brought it up. Refereeing controversies have been a part of the World Cup, particularly in the last three. Now, some examples of it: 2015 quarterfinal between Australia and Scotland. Craig Joubert, the referee, awards a penalty to Australia for an offside. Now, it was an accidental offside, but he decided that it wasn't accidental, so he gave them the penalty that won them the game. 2011 quarterfinal between Australia and South Africa. Bryce Lawrence was the ref, and he had an abysmal game. Even by his own admission, he was terrible. He let Australia get away with so much at the breakdown, particularly David Pocock. In one particular instance, the South Africans were on the line, ready to score a try, and Mr. David Pocock came off the side of the ruck, grabbed the ball with his hand, which was still in the ruck, and he won the ball back, and they cleared it. Now, first of all, that should have been a yellow card for David Pocock. That should have been a penalty. And a penalty would have won that quarter-final because South Africa lost by 2 points. Now, Bryce Lawrence got a lot of hate mail from the South Africans, and fair enough. He was terrible. And shortly after, Bryce Lawrence actually retired from refereeing because of that game. 2007, yeah, I'll bring it up. France against the All Blacks, forward pass, but it's not just the forward pass that Wayne Barnes missed. It was the constant infringing in the second half, coming from the side of the ruck, being offside, hands in the ruck. It was terrible. He did not award one penalty to the All Blacks in the last 60 minutes of that game. Any one of those penalties could have resulted in a 3-point score, and we lost the game by 2 points. So one penalty would have won. So refereeing controversies are part of World Cups, and sometimes you get the bounce of the ball, sometimes you don't. Now, another concern for me as an All Black fan are the injuries. Now, we've got a lot of players coming into the squad that have had a lot of injuries. Retallick won't even play at least the first 3 games of the tournament because of his shoulder. Richie Mo'unga injured his shoulder against Australia. Ryan Crotty is just coming back from a fractured thumb, and he's had concussion issues and hamstring issues. Goodhue's coming off his hamstring problem. Sonny Bill has been injured for the best part of 2 years. And so we've got a lot of All Blacks that are a bit underdone in terms of match fitness and game time. And that's a real concern, especially when it comes to those really tough physical knockout games. And so that's a big concern. However, some more positive news. I don't want it all to be doom and gloom, but some positive news. We're playing South Africa, right? Now, we've never lost a pool game. 28 wins, 0 losses. Yay! Not only that, we've averaged 60 points in our pool games. Now, you wonder, how can we average 60 over 28 games? Well, when you score 145 against Japan, 108 against Portugal, 101 against Italy, 91 against Tonga, so on and so forth, you average 60 points. And we have had some tough pool games over the years. In 91, we played England. We beat them. England went on to make the final, so they weren't shabby. And then fast forward to 99, we played England again, beat them at home. They went on to lose in the quarterfinal to South Africa. But in 2011, we played France, beat them, and France ended up being in the final of that same World Cup. So our form in pool games has been pretty good. We're the only team to have won all our pool games. So that's some positivity. And because of that, and because of the fact that I feel like we're building and we're getting better, and we've got a really strong bench going into this game, probably the strongest bench that we've had all this year, with Sonny Bill, with Ben Smith, with Tunga Fasi, with TJ Perenara, and I can't think of the others. So we've got a strong bench. And I think because of that, we will finish the game strongly and we will win the game 27-16. That's my prediction anyway. And in terms of predictions, Japan over Russia 47-21. So go All Blacks. I know it's going to be tough. If we manage to win this World Cup, it'll be our greatest accomplishment maybe ever. So good luck, All Blacks.